Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. Today is a new Whimsy Stamps release, so we're going to be creating with some new products. I have the brand new Slimline Observation Deck die. I have the Celestial Zodiac background rubber stamp and the black hole clear stamp set. I also had a die set in there with these really funny looking aliens, but I don't end up using it. But you can check out all of the brand new releases just using my links down below in the description. So here I've done some die cutting. I'm also going to use my Lost in Space paper pack that was released earlier this month, and I've die cut the new Slimline die out of some kind of pearlescent black paper and some metallic black paper. So I am going to create what looks like hopefully the inside of a spaceship, and that Lost in Space paper will be my background. To add a little bit more fun to my card, I have trimmed down a piece of gray cardstock to my slimline size, which is 8.5 by 3.5, and I'm using my new Celestial background and some white ink to stamp on these different zodiac constellations onto my paper. I'm not too worried about lining this up perfectly to stamp twice. This is a 6 by 6 stamp set, so you have to, kind of make do here when you're using it on a slimline card. But I'm doing my best to line it up, and like I said, it's not going to be noticeable because this will actually be on the background of my card and not super visible. But honestly, it doesn't look bad. I can see the line, but it really doesn't look that bad. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I'm going to use some white embossing powder over my white ink because I just really want those images to stand out. And once I have all the powder on, I'm going to use my heat tool to melt that powder down. And once it's dry, I'm just taking a Swiffer cloth to wipe off any excess dust. Now we're going to work on the stamped image. I have a piece of white cardstock that is smooth and really great for ink. For alcohol ink markers, and I am using my ink on 3 in Blackout ink, and I'm stamping my alien with the peace sign. I'm going to use a piece of Post-it to create my own mask because I want my alien to be holding this little asteroid balloon or moon balloon in his fingers. So I know that I want to kind of fiddle around with how the string of the balloon is going to be held, and I want it to look like it's going between his 2 fingers or its 2 fingers. So the nice thing about photopolymer stamps is that you can, maneuver them a little bit to get it how you want. So I'm going to play with the string on my balloon until I like the way it looks like it's going through the alien's fingers. So I'm going to pick it up with my Mystic Door and just keep playing with it until I'm happy, and then I will go ahead and ink it up with that same ink and stamp my balloon. So like I said, I'm going to be using my alcohol markers. I use Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers, and this is an Express It kind of blending cardstock, which just really helps with blending of alcohol markers and alcohol inks. I'm going to start with my brown grays and color in this asteroid balloon, and then I will move into some fun green colors for the alien. So while I'm adding some color to my images, I don't know if you've had a chance to go over to the Whimsy Stamps channel and check out all of the reveal videos, but this new black hole stamp set has really funny sentiments for birthdays. I'm going to have one on this card that you'll see soon, but another one that I really like is what happens in Uranus stays in Uranus. And there's a picture of these like aliens with probably a human on their like surgery looking table. It's pretty funny. And then there's also one that says probably, like a play on probably. So you could say, happy birthday, this is probably late or something silly. It's a really funny set. Anyway, back to the card. I have cut down a slimline card base so that it measures 3.5 by 8.5 when scored. And I'm just using my Misty to help me glue down that gray piece that we stamped and embossed with white embossing powder for my background. And now I want to trim this piece of printed paper to fit behind my die cut of my new Slimline Observation Deck die. And so now I need to work on gluing this all together. So I'm going to use some wet glue to adhere this pattern or this printed paper to my card base, and it's a little off center because I want that sun or that star to be as bright as possible. So I wanted it to be right along the edge of my window because I wanted to see as much of that as possible. So now I am here trying to figure out how I'm going to glue these metallic pieces back in. I thought, you know what, I'm going to pop this up. So let me get my foam tape lined up behind my slimline die cut, and then I will piece in these window frames back into my die. So I am putting some foam tape along the top and bottom openings, and then I'm just going to place these 3 pieces right back in, and that will help hold them together. And then I'm also going to put some foam tape in the different areas in between the windows to really make sure they're nice and stuck in there, and to make sure that I have some good adhesion for this piece onto my card base. I don't want those windows popping out, so I went ahead and layered those all up, and then I will double check, and I like how it's looking. So now I want to put my alien kind of in the middle window here, like he's popping up to say hi. And so I am going to peel off the release paper for just the bottom of this die cut for now. Again, just working on my layout here. And I'm going to tuck my pieces that I cut out, my stamped images, behind, so that way it looks like I said, he's popping in and saying happy birthday to you from outside of your spaceship. So now that it is looking pretty good and I'm pretty happy with the placement, I'm going to peel off the rest of the release paper, and then I'm going to use some wet glue behind my alien head. I'm also going to pop up the asteroid balloon in just a minute here, but I'm playing with the placement, making sure I'm happy. Okay, so now I'm peeling up all that release paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and center this to my card base. So I'm not worried about it being off-centered like I did with my printed paper. This is going to go directly down. And then once that is adhered down, I'm just going to trim off another piece of that foam adhesive roll so that way I could place it behind my asteroid and it's at the same level of dimension as the rest of my card. So I'm making sure it's nice and centered, and then I will grab that piece of foam tape and place it behind the asteroid. And with that, the card is pretty much done, but of course we need to add a sentiment. Like I said, there's just so many cute sentiments from this new stamp set. And I decided to go with, look who's all grown up and ready for a colonoscopy. Oh man. I don't know who I'm going to give this to, but it's going to be definitely someone with a sense of humor. I use my Comic Speech Bubble die set to die cut that out, and some black ink to stamp my sentiment, and using some wet glue just to glue that down to my card. And of course, no card would be complete without some embellishments. So I'm going to grab 3 of my glow-in-the-dark bubbles from Doodle's Paper Playground. I'm just using my wet glue and picking up my little bubbles and placing them on in various spots of the card. And I love that these are glow-in-the-dark. It just really adds to that space theme I'm going for. So let's take a look at the final card. Here you can see my slimline card, my little bubbles, my really silly sentiment, and just all of the fun new space themed products. I also did my best to show you what it looked like while it was glowing in the dark, and I really hope you enjoyed this silly card tutorial. You can see everything I used down in the description. If you did enjoy this card, I hope you'll hit like, and if you're new here, I hope I've inspired you to subscribe and come back. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.